Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that reminds you that, sorry Sean Spears, but there's only one true chairman in pro wrestling. Do you remember La Parka? He was one of the more unique luchadors in WCW's cruiserweight division in the 90s. Known not just for his high-flying moves, but also for having a sense of humor, dancing, even playing a little air guitar. Of course, the two things I remember La Parka for are for when he got absolutely slaughtered by Goldberg and that weird Buff Bagwell match.
He is mocking it, and then he told La Parka, come over, and La Parka does, and La Parka covers him, and what?
Did I do a good job for you? You know what? Who else can beat me? Won't you come down and beat me, big man?
Well, it turns out the legend's been busy over the last 20 years since WCW shut down. There was some controversy as he had lent his gimmick to another wrestler in Mexico while he was working WCW, but that's a story for another time. He would spend the 2000s and 2010s working as L.A Park across the US and Mexico before landing in Major League Wrestling where he stayed, well, until last week. Here's what happened. At an MLW live event in Dallas on March 31st, Park, alongside his two real-life sons, no word of a lie going by the names L.A Park Jr. and Hijo de L.A Park, which means, well, L.A Park Jr. The trio came down to the ring after the main event of Jacob Fatu, the nephew of Rikishi, Mads Kruger, and current MLW World Heavyweight Champion Alex Hammerstone. The plan was for Los Parks to attack Fatu and kick off a feud between the Park Patriarch and Fatu for Azteca Underground. Well, things got out of hand pretty quick. Thanks to Carlos Hobbies for the fan footage here, all started out well and good until the Parks started hitting Fatu with stiff chair shots and live rounds, a term that means real punches for the unwashed masses. As Fatu was essentially knocked loopy and it was clear that this attack was no longer part of the show, Hammerstone himself got involved only to get shoved by Park Daddy and the kids. Hammerstone would retreat to the back out of fans' sight and the show would come to an end. Both Hammerstone and Fatu were cut open from the attacks, and Fatu would end up in hospital for concussion protocol. We would then learn on April 8th through Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer that the entire Park family were fired the next day by promoter Court Bauer. In the report, we would learn that Hammerstone would challenge all three to a real fight backstage, only for Park to declare that he doesn't speak good enough English. Bauer would then clarify that the trio was canned for betraying the trust of their fellow workers outside the scope of a show and making a point to deliberately hurt their colleagues. Now I know this is going to get my older audience to go, "Yeah, what wusses? In our day we had hardcore matches with staple guns and cheese graters and people bled all the time." Well, I gotta remind you that traditional wrestling is supposed to look like it hurts more than it actually does. It's the modern style that's fallen apart because everybody believes that none of it hurts at all, while the wrestlers are actually hurting themselves and each other left and right. Seriously though, what the hell happened here? Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful has stated that while the motive remains unclear, the speculation was that Big Papa Park was trying to teach his sons about intimidation. That you gotta work stiff so that others don't shoot on you. It's an interesting concept, right? Taking liberties with others so that nobody takes liberties on you. Well, I'll give him that. That's definitely an old school mentality. But the truth of the matter is, if you go into business for yourself, no one else is gonna sign your paycheck. Father Parkmas was reportedly apologetic to Bauer as he was let go, but unfortunately, as Bauer said, zero tolerance for injuring his top guys. Can't see any of the major US promotions taking a chance on the 57-year-old, but he's still, as of this writing, with AAA in Mexico. Regardless, doesn't look like we're getting Fatu versus Old Man Parka anytime soon. Now this is of course just my opinion though, and I do want to know what you think about the news of La Parka, now L.A Park, getting himself and his sons fired from MLW. Do you think there was more behind the attack than claimed, or do you think he seriously just took a learning lesson too far? Is Bauer in the right to can the whole trio, or is this something the group could have worked out in the back and moved on from? And do you think there's still a future for any of these three in the US? Let me know what you think and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more because I want you to be a part of this conversation too. For now though, I better get my shoulders off the mat, so thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. I'll catch you next time.